Ssesse Islands, the treasure of Uganda. The cultural beliefs and taboos on Ssesse Island. Ssesse Island is a collection of about 84 islands found in Lake Victoria, and it makes one of Uganda districts. Culturally, it is one of the 18 counties of Uganda Kingdom, and its cultural leader is called Kweba. Unless you make a tour of Ssesse Islands, you never be in a good position to describe what it is. The story in the film you are about to watch says it all about Ssesse Islands, right from the horse's mouth, the very people who live on Ssesse Islands. Ssesse is found in south of Uganda as well as Buganda. The indigenous people on Ssesse Islands settled on it far back in the 7th or 18th century, and these people later became Baganda, though they still prefer calling them Abasese. However, today, many tribes are found on Ssesse Islands, and some come as far as Kenya, Tanzania, and even Congo. But you can easily differentiate a true Ssesse from all other tribes because of his gigantism, with a big protruding chest and small legs. Women have very big breasts, and they are also as gigantic as men. Of the many islands that make up Ssesse, Bugala is the biggest and most populated. Although many trees were cut by Bidco, a company which was gazetted by the government of Uganda to grow palm trees on the islands in a bid to increase on Uganda's GDP by producing oils and other products that come out of palm seeds, plus employment creation, it is in Ssesse that you still find big natural rainforests. One of these forests is Ssesse on Bugala Island. Just to go through this forest, you may need a minimum of 3 hours just to cross it from one end to another end. It is full of big tall trees of different species like Mukusu, which is also referred to as Namaguru, Musizi, Mpewere, Nzingu, Nabulere, Namukago, Nabumba, and so many others. The forest has a very thick undergrowth. Some parts are impenetrable. At some instances, it is very thick that you can't even see through. How to reach Ssesse Islands? Mainly on the biggest island, Kalangala. Because it is an island, Ssesse can only be reached by use of water transport. There are two main routes to Ssesse. The first is through Nachuogo on the mainland from Entebbe through Toboka in Kalangala, where you have to use the MV NODL ferry. This is a gazetted transport by the government of Uganda. However, there are other small boats of private owners. It takes you 3 to 4 hours to reach Toboka Bay in Kalangala, a journey of about 60 euro miles. When you reach Toboka, it takes you only 10 minutes to walk to the town of Kalangala. Along Otoboka Bay, you find dwelling places like Ssesse Islands Beach Hotel, Mirembe Resort Beach Hotel, Imperial Resort Beach Hotel, Provard Beach Hotel, and so many others. Another route is through Bukakata in Masaka district. Through this route, there are two big ferries, MOV Kalangala and MOV Pearl. Every after 1 hour, a ferry leaves either side to the other. It is only weekends that people find it problematic to travel to or from the islands because ferries reduce on their route. One ferry can take up to 200 people with 20 small vehicles. Lorries, buses, and trailers can also be carried on the ferry, but the number reduces to 16 or less. These ferries are run by a private company, Kalangala Infrastructure Service Company Limited. You don't have to pay anything to ply these routes. But passengers should keep time because however many they may be, the routes cannot be increased without prior arrangements between the company, KIS, and the Ministry of Transport, because every route is paid for by the government and the budget is made at the beginning of every financial year. Just as explained by one of the assistants of the captains at Bugoma landing site, Joan Zalwango. A ferry takes 30 minutes from Bukakata to Bugoma landing site and vice versa. From Bugoma landing site to Kalangala, it is a 1.5 hours drive due to potholes in the many parts of the road. Along the way, unlike in the past where we would go through thick forests and thickets, today it is palm tree plantains all over. You also would see probably the biggest solar power station in Uganda, the major source of electrical power, Kalanga district, Ssesse Island. That is the modern way of moving to Ssesse Islands. However, before this modern kind of transport, long ago people still used it to travel from the islands to the land and vice versa. People began traveling on water by using tree trunks, which was very scarce indeed. The first tree trunks they used were called omulindi. It was a light tree species, which when it dried, it could be put on water and someone could sit on it to move or to sail to the other side. They later used the palm tree-like dry leaves called ebibo. These ones, they would join them together to make a mat-like thing and sail on it. Many, of course, were drowned in the waters. When that was found to be risky, they found means of digging holes in tree trunks, which was also very risky still and led to loss of lives. Such boats were called manv, but as time went on, they started making real boats. And to date, if you don't use the other ferries, there are still some boats which are called binala, onto which they put engines, and a single boat can carry tons of goods and people. Our major concern today is to mostly tell you about the traditional beliefs and taboos on Ssesse Islands. Now, traditional beliefs and taboos about concerning transport. While on the boat, my friend, you don't hiss over what we would call ofuoluwa. That may annoy Mokasa, the god of the waters. Secondly, while making a canoe, that is digging the hole into the tree trunk, you avoid the chigwo. A chigwo is over digging one of the sides of the canoe. If you do so, it's a taboo and it may lead you to death. On the waters, when you are traveling, there is no blood shedding while on the journey from or to the islands. Now let's look at the traditional foods on or eaten by the Ssesse in Ssesse Islands. The staple food in Ssesse is cassava and sweet potatoes. That is their main foodstuff. They have fish as the main source. However, there is a special dish for the Ssesse called ekibeero. My friend, it would be very, very, very good if you ever tasted ekibeero. This one is made out of unripened bananas, bogoya, and hard yams, obukupa, and cassava. The three foods must be boiled together with at least 5 different fish species. That is when it will fit to be called ekibeero. But Ssesse also have what is referred to as Ssesse delicacy. These are palm weevils which are eaten in their larva stage. They are called amasinya or sinya in singular. One mugful of these larva weevils, masinya, my friend, would win you a very big cock in Ssesse. If you got it, give it to Ssesse, he would give you a very big cock. That is how precious the sinya or masinya are to the people of Ssesse. However, the Ssesse are very bitter about the introduction of the Nile perch, which they say has eaten almost all the indigenous fish species in Lake Victoria. Species like tilapia or engege, enjunguli, catfish or what we would call semutundu or male, the squawkers, nkolongo, these small fish, and so many others are now very few in the lake. That is, if they are not completely wiped out. Taboos and the beliefs surrounding foods of Ssesse. All totem fish species don't make ekibeero. These totem fish include silverfish, enkeje, kisinja, emamba, langfish, and also mukene is not put in the ekibeero. The rest of the fish species can be included in the ekibeero. But ekibeero, to be ekibeero, must consist of cassava, bogoya, obukupa, and at least 5 fish species. Now, fishing in Ssesse as an activity. Fishing is the main activity on Ssesse Island. It is done for both food and income generating. In the very early days, there was a used to get fish fish from the waters by using sticks, which they used to pierce into the sighted fish, and if caught, they would pull it to the land or the surface. This type of fishing was called kusocha. Later, they got spears, which they also used as the sharp sticks, but this type of fishing was called okuswaga. They would go around looking for fish where they see it. On seeing it, they pierce it and get to the surface. As time went on, they developed fish traps, which they made out of reeds and small bamboo trees joined together to make a wide mat-like thing, which would be drawn in the waters in a zigzag way. Which could trap the fish due to confusion, because the fish would move in this trap which is in the zigzag way, not knowing that it was trapped. By the time it gets to know that it was trapped, they pull it up and catch the fish. This was called obubigo, or singularly akabigo. And so many other ways they used to get fish out of the lake, like beating them with big sticks, or just cutting them with pangas. To date, they use fish nets and hooks to get fish from the lake. Cultural beliefs and taboos surrounding fishing. Fishermen don't quarrel while in the lake. Sugar canes are not eaten by the fishermen at work. While fishing, it is a taboo for fishermen to fight. It is also a taboo to kill. It is also a taboo to steal on the lake while fishing. Someone called a woman, a lady, does not go fishing. Can go to the waters, but does not involve herself in the fishing process. Farming on Ssesse Island. Before the introduction of palm trees grown by Bidco for oil production and other byproducts from palm seeds, people on Ssesse Island is used only to get food for their own consumption, but not as a source of income. However, there was some few who used to grow coffee on a large scale for income generating. The staple food for Ssesse that is to be grown on the islands is cassava, bananas, and hard yams. Hard yams are omukupa. Taboos surrounding farming. It is a taboo to grow meat on the islands. Meat is not grown on the islands. Sheep and its products is not taken or reared on the islands. And if someone does, thunder would strike the whole area, leaving many dead or killing only the culprit. Another activity carried out on Ssesse Island is boat making. Since time immemorial, it is only water transport that has been used to or from the islands to the mainland. Therefore, boat making is one of the activities carried out on the islands of Ssesse. They make small boats and very big boats which can carry tons and tons of both merchandise and people. The boats are made out of special hardy light woods. Such types of wood come from tree species like omukebu. There are some other cultural beliefs and taboos on Ssesse Islands. Damula. This is a stick given to the Prime Minister of Buganda, Katikkiro, which gives him authority to rule Buganda on behalf of the Kabaka. This stick is cut only in Ssesse on Kalangala Island in a place called Lugo Forest, and the tree from which it is cut is called Damula.
Mucho Ssaabasajja wa Moyo we yajja eno n'atuuka n'agamba nti abantu bange nga tebampulira bonna tebamuwulira tebamukkiririza munkole ntya. Mucho kwe kumukwata ne bamutwala mu kibira Luggo ne bamutemerayo omuggo. Bwe baatema omuggo ogwo gwe tuyita Damula, era ne gutuumibwa Damula okulamula Obuganda, era ky'ovola nti gukwasibwa Katikkiro okulamula Obuganda. Omuggo ogwo is a process. Teguli bubezi nti batema muggo nti kwata. Waliwo gye gutemebwa as a process ne gutambuzibwa mu mitendera ne gutuusibwa mu ddongoosezo omuli oluzzi olutono bwe luti, naye ng'amazzi gaalwo gakulukuta kyokka ng'ate tegatuuka ku nnyanja tegakola.
Lubale Wannema and Mukasa are believed to be originating from Ssesse Island. It is believed that when someone is bewitched and dies in the lake, he or she floats with the face upwards. Secondly, when Mukasa, the god of the waters, is the one who killed the person, the dead body will come floating face.
Bw'aba avudde mu nnyanja ng'abbulukuseeyo avayo nga yeebasewa abadde yeevuunise.
Omukazi omusajja akola ati
omusajja avayo wabanga bamuloze avayo nga yeevuunise avayo nga yeebase. Ate wabanga ng'avuddemu nga kale ng'ajja mukasa nga yamuyise nga yamwetidde emirimu avayo nga yeevuunise.
Thirdly, when a person dies while on the journey to or from the islands and the body does not come out of the lake, his or her mother breastfeeds the lake, that is, sows her breast to the waters, calling the dead body come out.
Basobola okuyita maama we ng'oyo n'amuyitira ku ebyo by'abadde atera okulya by'abadde atera okwagala oba n'amuyita nti mwana wange jangu oyo nk'amabeere kale ebyo.
A dead body from the lake does not enter the house, more so when he was fishing. It is taken for burial directly. A dead body of a fisherman is never buried in a coffin. There are some cultural beliefs and taboos about Nadibanga. Nadibanga is a small bird found in the forest of Ssesse Islands. Naturally, this bird lays only 2 eggs, the female and the male. When the eggs hatch and the young ones grow up to a certain size, the parent birds leave the nest for them. Nadibanga is a feared and treasured bird in the islands as well as on the main island. It is believed that when this bird enters one's house, the inhabitants of the house have to leave, and if they don't, the head of the family will die. Nadibanga is never killed, and if one kills it, he has to perform all the burial procedures as performed on a human being. That is, has to be wrapped in the mbugo, a grave must be dug, and all the rituals that are performed. However, because it is feared, when it happens to build around your home, you must give it time to have its nest to a slightly bigger size. Once it's about to lay eggs, you bring a red flower from a tree called jirikiti on top of its house. Nadibanga only finds that red flower on its house, it will go to the lake or to any water source and bring the water in its beak to bring down the fire. It will do that until the fire burns out. Because it is a flower, it will not burn out, it will just continue to be red. Nadibanga will not rest. By so doing, will get tired. By not eating, will instantly die. And when it does that process, you are not to be blamed. More still, in Ssesse Islands, there are 2 islands, Bobeke and Damba, where women do not go. These islands have never been set, women have never set their feet on. If a woman insists to go to one of those islands, that woman will die instantly. Another taboo on Ssesse Island, when a dead body is being transported from the island of Ssesse to the mainland, it has to be carried along with some water from the lake as an indicative that they are still together with the Lubale Mukasa, god of the water.
Singa oba okasse, to chase away that curse, olina okugenda n'ogula back cross, embugo, n'okarapinga mu bulungi ng'azinga guli ogwa jjajjaawo, owulira bulungi? N'osimentana na bino bi systems amaze mukozesa mbu the head face the nose biki nako bw'okola n'otakinga process n'okaziika ng'aziika omuntu. Olwo ekisiraani kiri kyonna okigyewo. Wulira yiga. Senga kaba ku muti kuno ogugo wano mu makkati ng'omu lugyalo wakati ng'oyagala okukajjawo. Okagera nkatandise ozimba ekisu kigenda kiwera. Genda ofune ekimuli kyo jirikiti. It's ever red. Omutambwa mu Luganda. Segedde ye jirikiti. Pick those leaves. They are red. Kagere nga tekaliiwo. Find a way how to reach up the distance makazimbye. Be pressing it on top of the nest. Wabiteekako on top of the nest. Kowe kajja, it will sense that its nest is set on fire. Katikati andiko collecting amazzi from any nearby water point or source. Nga kakozesa omumwa. Kagaleetera into its bill. Nga kakola ki kafukirira kuki. Just the reason is to seize the fire. Now after these flowers will keep red. Kati in the due course, ogenda dabuka kumawe. Kakowa ne kakorapsinga ne kafa kulwako. Thank you very much.
Sorry, thank you.